Hello, folks. Welcome. I'm Marisol Morales, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Carnegie Elective Classifications and the Assistant Vice President at the American Council on Education. Thank you so much for being here today on the pilot that ACE is doing in partnership with, the webinar that ACE is doing in partnership with Second Nature. Um, the title of this webinar is From Pilot to Practice, Institutional Stories from the Carnegie Elective Classification for Sustainability. I'm so happy to be here with you today with some of our pilot campuses and our host campuses. We're going to start off by doing some introductions and then moving into the Q&A portion of it, the conversation portion of it, and then we'll have an opportunity for participants to also throw questions in the Q&A, and we'll answer some of those as we go along. Before we get started, I just want to share the gratitude that we have for our pilot campuses and really telling the story of participation and how we built this elective classification from the ground up. Um, I'll have them each introduce themselves now. Um, Ann Hayes, do you want to introduce yourself from Bennett College?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ann Hayes, and I'm Executive Director of Global and Interdisciplinary Studies at beautiful Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina, where we're a very small college. We have about 200 students, and we are an all-women's HBCU. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Ann. Next, Trevor.
Good morning slash good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trevor Ledbetter, and I'm the Senior Director for the Office of Sustainability here at the University of Arizona. We are located down in Tucson, Arizona, so southern half of the state, and we're a little bit bigger. We have about 55,000 enrolled students, just north of 15,000 employees. We're one of the largest employers in the state. We're also a Research One institution, a Hispanic serving institution, and do a lot in the way of outreach as a land grant institution as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trevor. Lauren?
Good morning and afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Greenberg. I am at Mount San Antonio College, Mount SAC, which is in Southern California. We're on the eastern border of LA County. And I am a full-time faculty in the Sign Language and Interpreting Department and also serve as our faculty sustainability coordinator on campus. We are a one district community, one institution district community college, and we're one of the largest in Southern California. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Lorena?
Greetings. I'm Lorena Franco, Director of the Center for Professional and International Experiences in the Universidad del Sagrado Corazón in San Mateo de Cangrejos, Santurce, Puerto Rico. We serve around 5,400 students in the undergraduate and graduate level. We are a Hispanic serving institution, and we also foster community engagement through our academic projects. So very happy to be here.
Thank you, Lorena. And finally, we'll round it out with Amy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Halverson. I'm a Director of Sustainability at the University of Colorado Boulder. We are the flagship land grant University of Colorado, and we have about 40,000 enrolled students at all levels. We have a long history of environmental sustainability at our school, and I'm excited to talk to you about our role as the host institution for the Carnegie Elective Classification for Sustainability. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Now, if we could get all our participants pinned, and we'll start our conversation. So this kind of section of the webinar is why this work and why now. And so I just want to hear from folks like, what motivated your institution to participate in the Carnegie Elective Classification for Sustainability, the pilot? What interested you? What made you raise your hand? Any of you can start. Okay, I'm going to pick.
I'll jump
Go
in. This is such an incredible opportunity for learning and professional development. So, as Bennett College, as we were thinking about this, this just represented a great opportunity to network, to learn more. We're fairly new in the sustainability realm. And what better way than to jump in and not only learn from the ACE team, but also learn from other colleagues. And the best way in the world to build a phone a friend network is to participate in something like this. I also really wanted to be a voice for the really small, for unique college campuses, for HBCUs, for women's colleges, for if there's such a classification, micro colleges. Um, and under-resourced colleges. That was really important to me that we have lots of diverse institutions at the table, and we were excited to be a part of it.
Thanks, Sam.
I,
Others?
I can share next. In addition to everything that Anne said, it was an incredible learning opportunity for us and the folks that we had working on our application and participating in the pilot and the community of practice. But for us, and I may be stealing Marisol's thunder, but the way that this elective classification was explained to us, and I think that this is sort of the way that that ACE looks at all of the elective classifications, is that this was really an opportunity to do a self-study and to look inward at how we're doing things, why we're doing things, and really importantly, to start to recognize those gaps in what we're doing and what we're talking about and how we can start to address those. So for us, being an institution as large as we are, I had a good idea of what we were doing in the sustainability world. The University of Arizona, we've done ASHE Stars. We're in the process of doing that again right now. But what I think was really unique about the elective classification for sustainability in the pilot is it focused a lot less on the quantitative and much more on the qualitative and on the storytelling. And so it really encouraged us to go a lot deeper than we've done in the past. And I learned so much more about so many of the other things that this institution is doing outside of my immediate circle and certainly outside of the operational area, which is where my department is housed, and made tons and tons of new connections internally, in addition to the network that was formed through this pilot, that have already proven to be extremely, extremely valuable for the work that I do, as well as sort of building that story of what sustainability is for the University of Arizona, which has also proved particularly valuable as we are sort of in we all know this, we all go through it, sort of the leadership turnover phase where we got a new president about a year and a half ago. And so to be able to build that story of the strengths and the value of sustainability for the university has been particularly valuable for those new leadership conversations as that new leadership has come in.
Thanks, Trevor. Lauren?
Yeah, so I think participating in the pilot, again, was just an exercise of awareness, of situating ourselves where we're at. There's so much that goes on in higher education simultaneously and in magnitude. And I know we all would agree that just some initiatives, might be overlooked. Some events we just might forget, right? Everything happens so fast. So this again just gave us an opportunity to really deep dive, gather all of past, present projects, put it into perspective on what is taking place, what we've achieved, and obviously what needs to be strengthened. And I think doing that in support or accompanied by a community of practice was just so valuable. And I echo all of the other panelists because it was just great in terms of networking, professional development, but really, again, just holding our hands far again in distance through this process and, just going forward.
Yeah, thanks. Laura?
Yes, I feel like the timing that this opportunity was presented to us was kind of serendipitous. As large of a college as we are, and we're in our state, we're making great strides of sustainability. But I think it was more from like a grassroots type of work. And we have not done AC stars yet, but we are preparing, and this really lended to that. But at the same time, we're in the process of completing our second climate action plan. Our college was going through their new facilities planning, so we have a new Mount SAC 2035, which also mirrors our chancellor's office, their Vision 2030. So timing just felt right. Our chancellor's really being a big push, and we have Board of Governors goals that we have to follow in California, which are really stringent. And so trying to, align with that, and being able to be highlighted as a community college, which I think is what was unique with Carnegie and really helpful, where we have a lot of CTE or CE programs, and workforce is our main focus. And so having the Carnegie kind of being able to hone in on what and being able to highlight that. But again, just the timing of our CAP, our facilities planning, attempting to go for our AC stars. So I feel like the timing was very serendipitous for us.
Thank you. So what do you feel like the self-study process surfaced for your institution that you hadn't fully seen previously? Where'd you find the most alignment, the most gaps across curriculum, research, operations, community engagement? Since, and maybe you can talk a little bit too about the breadth of the application, right, as you were going through it. So Trevor, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Yeah. Um, I won't speak for everyone, but we'll see how many heads nod. I think the thing that we certainly struggled the most with, and I think was other folks struggled with as we were going through the pilot process, was the ecosystem for community partnerships and sort of trying to distill all of the amazing work that we do as an institution and so much of the work that me and my department are not responsible for into a really coherent approach to how we do sustainability work and how we do that in partnership with the communities that we work in. Um, we ended up centering around sort of three things that the university has a lot of strengths in, which are heat, health, and H2O or water. We were going for the three H's. And here in Southern Arizona, in 2024, Tucson hit 100 degrees or higher 112 times. That's about 30% of the year.
Wow.
Last year it was a little bit less extreme, but we also know we're looking at a super El Nino this year, which means even hotter for everyone. And so we're sort of bracing for our hottest on record. But we do tons of research in heat. We do tons in water. We do so much at the intersection of public health and sustainability. And so it was sort of hard to take all of that work and figure out how that works together. And so I think that there's a lot of alignment there. But as we were going through that exercise, there was a significant recognition that there's not a lot of coordination of those activities across the institution. I had no idea the depth and breadth of work that our College of Public Health was doing and the work that they were doing with the state of Arizona. I think it was 2024, because of the partnership that we have with the state as well as with Arizona State up in Tempe, was the first year that heat-related deaths actually declined in the state of Arizona, which is something to be extremely proud and excited about. But I had no idea about that, and that's really great work, but is really important for more people to know about, so that way we can sort of extend that work into other areas of the university. And really importantly, from my perspective, start to think about on the operational side how we use that expertise and that action for the university's benefit as well. I think we probably all see this where a lot of the work, the amazing work that our faculty are doing in research and community outreach doesn't necessarily connect to the operational side. So the University of Arizona doesn't currently have an extreme heat plan. We don't have a really strong water management plan, and the state of Arizona is looking at some really significant cuts to the Colorado River portion that the state is allocated later this year. And so, that's something that I'm very keenly looking at this year and over the next few years to improve the coordination between the fantastic research and work that our faculty are doing and pulling that more into the operational side of how the University of Arizona works.
Yeah, thank you. That makes so much sense. Others? Lauren?
Sure. Yeah. I saw the comment about the ecosystem. We struggled to kind of approach that. But then as we looked, that's one of the strengths that I think that our college has is that our faculty and our facility side works really well together. We have our sustainability director and then on the faculty side for myself. But when we talk to other colleges, that seems to be like that gap. And so we noticed that just our connection just with facilities and faculty, curriculum, students, all that connection. And then it goes out from there, like strong connections with CBOs and whatnot on the facility side, but then on the faculty curriculum side. So at first, the ecosystem question was a little challenging, but I think then once we had other visuals that we used before, and so I felt like that was really helpful for us. And then we're like, oh yeah, we have a lot of connections, and our ecosystem is robust. As far as the alignment, I think the alignment was kind of like we knew what was there, but similar to what Trevor was saying, we didn't know some of the breadth and depth. Like we didn't know what dual enrollment was doing, for instance. We have a large dual enrollment that works with our high schoolers or our articulation. And so seeing what there was a lot more on campus that we weren't aware of. And so instead of maybe duplicating that or whatnot, bringing that together and supporting. So just that finding out what else is happening on campus was really incredible.
Thanks. Lorena?
Yeah, so I joined Sagrado Corazon in 2023, in early 2023, and then late 2024, I end up in this role. Beginning of 2025, the provost asked me to tackle this challenge with her. So I was like, yeah, sure. Having very little idea to what I would or that would entail. So I think for me, this was really a deep dive, like I said, into the institution, into its history, which we just turned 146 years. And again, it's becoming aware of practices that have been going on through the academic side. For example, okay, so this course incorporates experimentation with biomaterials that they get through the cafeteria, or that this professor is engaging in a research on plantain peels. So it's really kind of gives you an overarching perspective of sustainability through the holistic lens. And of course, we are in Puerto Rico. We've gone through Hurricane Irma and Maria, and maybe later we'll talk about the particular context. But definitely, it was an area where we saw, like I said, strengths and areas of opportunity. So I think through the academic side, we've done great work at aligning not only sustainability, but community engagement and social justice. And of course, there's more to do perhaps in the operations side where we might need to move the needle slightly more.
Thank you. Anne?
Yeah, so some of my colleagues alluded to this, but I just think it's so important to underline. We're so busy doing the work that sometimes if you don't have some intentionality built around something and what I would call practicing the pause, like where we're pausing and then we're looking at a big picture view, it's really hard to see. I mean, I'm a qualitative researcher and an anthropologist as my background, and having some intentional time to look at our college as a whole, to think about all of the different projects that we've been doing and what are those threads that tie them all together. That was so, so, so powerful for us. We also had moments of discovery and like, oh, this faculty member is doing this research. And we probably got most excited about the ecosystem, thinking about who our partners are and have been, how we're working in the community. That's one of our strengths. Um, and that was all really, really powerful for us to pause and think comprehensively about.
So all of you participated in helping us like build what would eventually be the first application. So, what was most rewarding and challenging about helping to define a national framework from the ground up? Some of you were with us, maybe just Trevor in this group when we had that first meeting at Morehouse, like, are we going to do this or not when we were doing our feasibility study? And then others came to us through like word of mouth or, meetings and field building that we were doing, relationships that we were, um, setting up in order to have that like diversity of institutions nationally. But yeah, what was the most rewarding and challenging of, you know, dreaming this with us? Trevor, I'll start with you since you were at you're like the OG in the room with the Morehouse meeting and
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Um, I think the most, it was both the most difficult and the most rewarding was trying to figure out, what's missing and um, what is going to be of greatest value from this classification for institutions to go through it. Um, you know, we have other frameworks out there and they provide a lot of value in different ways. We've gone through the AC Stars process and we get a lot of really valuable information out of the process. There are things, again, the storytelling component that isn't quite there with AC Stars, or at least the way that we've engaged with it historically. And I think as we started to think about, what is the definition for sustainability that we're going to use for this? And, if translating that into sort of our context, it was interesting to sort of think about what and how that shows up in our work. But that I would say was the most both challenging and rewarding. I think another component that I think was unique to the University of Arizona, sort of after that pilot work at Morehouse and down in Atlanta, was to start to recognize and in conversations with you, Marisol, and others. What voices are missing from the table. And so when we started thinking about that, it was really exciting for us to be able to have that conversation internally and recognize, well, we have many community colleges down here in Southern Arizona. And so we were able to have those conversations and talk about the pilot and bring both Pima Community College, which is the largest college near the University of Arizona with, I think, 4 or 5 branch campuses. But then really excitingly also Tohono O'odham Community College, which is a tribal college, about a 45-minute hour drive from our main campus in Tucson. We were able to bring both of them into the pilot to have their voices represented. And I think the most rewarding aspect to the pilot process was the continuous focus on making sure that the elective classification was going to be something that worked for an R1 research institution with tons of resources at our disposal to be able to engage with this, down to a tribal college or a community college who have far less resources and have more unique challenges than we do.
Yeah, thank you. Others?
I'll hop in and say I think I really enjoyed the intentional community of practice, as I repeated, and just the openness to feedback from ACE. What's been working, what hasn't been working, any suggestions, and regardless of whether I personally had something pressing, just knowing that was available was really a game changer. Again, that openness to dialogue. And again, knowing that there are others going through the same process. In higher education, we might it be siloed at times or feel we're working at it alone. So just having these other people, networks that we could reach out to, really made the difference and was highly rewarding.
Oh, you went on mute. Okay. Oh, everybody went on mute. Right? Oh no. Anne, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm happy to go. I was thinking about, and this fits a lot with some of the things that Trevor was saying. Where do we fit in the sustainability landscape? And I think the big underlying question for a lot of us is, do all of the colleges and universities have to be doing all of the same things to be doing excellent work in sustainability?
Mm,
And so for me, as a fundamental question, for those of you who have read Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, All We Can Save, or Climate Wayfinding, um, Catherine Wilkinson, there's this idea of what is your superpower and how are you going to bring your unique superpower to bear on the climate crisis? And I think the interesting thing that this process has done is to have institutions take on that mindset of, okay, what is our superpower as an institution? How do we look at this collectively and make the case for we don't have to do all the things. We don't have to do all the things. I'm not going to be the same as University of Arizona. I am like our institution is we're going to have our own unique strengths that are needed. The diversity is needed. It's needed in ecology, it's needed in the world, it's needed in the workplace. Why would it not also be needed in how we're doing sustainability work?
okay, Lauren.
Yes. Again, just to piggyback on that, yeah, the community of practice, it felt such an honor to be a part of this group. I'm newer to the sustainability world, and so being able to learn from other experts, and to Anne's point, at different scales and different strengths. And so having the opportunity to meet and work together online and then also in person, I thought was really rich. And so I feel honored and fortunate to be a part of the pilot process. Also, I liked the narrative part. I know more science folks in the room struggled with that. They wanted the numbers, but my background is much more narrative and holistic. And so I really like that as well because it did give us an opportunity to highlight what we each are individually doing. Although some of us who are faculty would love a rubric, but there was no rubric to follow. We just had so it was just a nice reminder to go back and you're not being compared. It's not a scale of comparison, but what are you doing and highlight the work that you're doing. And so I really appreciated that holistic approach as well as the narrative, being able to tell the story.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to pivot to Amy soon, but I wanted to just round this question. One, I thought we were going to hear Puerto Rico as one of the highlights, the Puerto Rico trip, but we'll save that for later. But you also all participated in the review process. So if you can speak to pieces of that on the reviewer side of it. Lorena, why don't we start with you?
I really enjoyed reading everyone's narratives and how they shaped that story. Again, uh, looking at how different R1s or tribal universities or community colleges, what they are doing, right? To attend to this monster that is climate change, right? And what we need to do and what little practices or big practices we can do to move the needle forward. So I highly enjoyed it, and I think I also had a great group, a great facilitator, so it didn't seem like a lag. It was some work, right? Just to read over it and really think about it and have some you know, thought-provoking suggestions maybe, or and also just gain ideas, right, from what others are doing and how you could implement parts of those or in your own way to the campus. So just overall, it was a great experience.
Yeah. Trevor?
So I was not able to actually participate in the peer review process. Somebody else on my team did. From her perspective, and the little she shared, she was very good about not divulging too much, since I was not directly involved. It sounded she very much would echo a lot of what Lorena shared. It was a really valuable experience to be able to see how other institutions approached the same questions in very different ways. And I think what was really valuable was sort of the bifurcation of certain aspects of the application for community colleges and non-community colleges. And so we have on our campus a lot of workforce development oriented. We're trying to prepare students for a career after they graduate, but it's not the same type of workforce development that happens at Pima Community College or Tohono O'odham Community College. And so I thought it was really, really exciting to see that sort of split approach where it made sense. And it seems like that really came through to sort of open our eyes about how other institutions approach those sorts of topics.
Great. Lauren and then Anne?
Yeah, I enjoyed being on the reviewing process there. At first I was like, oh, I don't know if we did our application right. Like there was that moment of like, oh, we should have said that, and oh, we didn't include that. And so I thought that was really made me sweat a little bit, but I think it was really helpful to see how other colleges approached it. And then being a community college, being able to because we reviewed both. So being able to see what universities did on their end, kind of like what Trevor's saying with the split approach. So I thought it was just really helpful and unique to be able to see what other people's applications look like and kind of dig into it a little bit more and see how that approach was. So.
And Anne?
Yeah, so I started out reading, I loved being part of the review process. And my first reads, I thought, God, they are killing it. This is unbelievable. They're doing this and that. And I'm like, it was a little hard to get out of jealousy in the very beginning. Um, but um, but oh my gosh, at the end, looking at them comprehensively, it made me incredibly proud, deeply proud that all of this is going on, the diversity of institutions who applied, the the depth and work that went into those applications, the incredible work that all of these institutions are doing, and they're very different and they're very rooted in their own communities. And I found that incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I add one more thing, Marisol? Sorry.
absolutely.
I just made me think it was neat to see as well, because obviously a lot of laws have changed with the current administration. And so being in California, we're a little more privileged here as far as sustainability goes. So it was unique. I enjoyed learning from what other institutions were doing in states that were not as supportive or funding being taken away and the other creative ways that the work was still being done um, in such a difficult time to get that work done. So I appreciated that as well.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you for adding that. So Amy, turning to you, you got to review as well, but I want you to speak to, um, the reason why the University of Colorado Boulder stepped up to take this leadership on, and what role you see the classification playing in the future of higher education and sustainability in addressing climate change. How do you see this contributing to the broader movement in higher education?
Yeah, absolutely. The University of Colorado Boulder applied to be the host institution for this elective classification because our chancellor, Dr. Justin Schwartz, is committed to sustainability and committed to advancing it for the whole higher ed field. So it's really about we wanted to take a leadership position, not just in our community or in our state, but on behalf of the field. And recognizing that as the co-panelists have said, each institution is going to bring a unique strength to fighting the climate crisis. And what works in an R1 might not work in a community college, but we can all learn from each other. And that's kind of the motivation for CU, is to really help the field advance, build those communities of practice to learn from each other, so that ultimately we can all work on preparing this next generation to lead in this area, because we desperately need them to do so. And we all, I think you would maybe others would agree that we see that most students, like an overwhelming amount of students, care about sustainability and about climate change, and it's our responsibility as higher ed institutions to be responsive.
Thanks. And you all came in as we were kind of wrapping up the pilot. Folks were still in the process of like submitting and finalizing then the review process. So what did you learn from the process as you were kind of learning about the Carnegie electives?
Yeah, we unfortunately we came in, again, the timing didn't work out right for us to participate ourselves in the pilot. And I do feel some jealousy from the pilot schools, because I could tell that it was such a meaningful experience for those institutions that participated. Um, what I heard was appreciation for the ability to tell their unique stories. So that narrative format of the application was appealing to most of the schools that applied, um, because again, it's going to look different, uh, depending on your context. I heard that the community of practice element was incredibly impactful. Um, the learning, yes, and just the camaraderie and the collegiality of, sometimes, higher ed, we compete because we compete for students or we compete for funding, but this is an area that we don't need to compete. We need to work together, and we can share and commiserate and lift each other up in those hard moments. So that's what I heard was really valuable to the pilot. Um, and then also, I can just say that there were 20 schools that participated in the pilot, and everybody has stepped up to help um, raise awareness for the rest of the field during this inaugural cycle. And I think that speaks volumes of the experience and the value they got from the experience. They are the evangelists of this classification. Um, and I just can't say how thankful we are to American Council on Education, you, Marisol, but also to all the pilot schools for being those messengers for us.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it's been a pleasure for us working with all of you. So I'm going off script at this point, just FYI. But one of the things that we built into the process was this opportunity to bring all the pilot campuses together in Puerto Rico, primarily because we had two institutions in Puerto Rico. Second, that's my home. So I wanted to be able to um, bring folks to a place where I think that, the climate crisis has really um, been brought to national and international attention given Hurricane Maria and given, the issues in really trying to address these things so many years after Maria happened. And because of the great work that, we saw already happening in these campuses, part of it was to like, because we knew the ecosystem model was something that we were, sort of conjuring up and thinking about how could this fit within this context. But we saw really great examples already with Sagrado, with University of Puerto Rico Utuado, and wanted to be able to give pilot campuses a real life view of that. And then also, spend time digging into the portions of the applications where we just we knew we weren't there yet and we needed to dig in more. So can you talk a little bit about that experience, from your perspective, Sagrado, for hosting us that day and introducing us to your community partner and that particular partnership that you have, and then for those of you who experienced it, like what did that mean for you all? I feel personally, I feel like there was a lot of, yeah, let's do this, but it wasn't until that trip that folks were like, I understand. I I understand, right? So if you all can talk to that.
I'll go
Lorena, you want
first.
to start?
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
thanks, Laura. No, go. All you.
Thanks. I felt one, just being together in person was really helpful. We had met several times online prior to that. And so to come to such a great landscape and a great just an opportunity to come together in a different place and meet each other face to face, I think was really helpful. Taking it out of the virtual space, and then to see the examples of what's happening there. The mixture of working on the application, but then going out and doing various field trips and learning a lot about like the land trusts. That's been of interest to us since our campus specifically has plots of land that we're trying to hold on to for living labs. And so seeing what an example of that is, and seeing the community come together when there's not the support of the government, so to speak, or there's not that support of there's not that higher support, and what the community actually is coming to do to rectify what's happening. So it was inspiring to see that, and then I just thought it was a nice mixture of working in the classroom, working on the application, getting to know each other at a deeper level, but then also getting out and tasting literally the fruits of labor out there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a delay with my computer today. So it was just a great opportunity to welcome everyone to our campus, Sagrado, and go visit one of our partners in Caño Martín Peña. So Caño Martín Peña is again located very close to Sagrado in Santurce. It's a body of water where in the past there had been informal housing. Because the body of water or the channel has been narrowing, it's very, it's subsequent to flooding and such. So there has been a lot that we've done in terms of research in the water, and just having everyone kind of see that other side, and talk to people and getting to know more about the project was great. Definitely going to UPR Utuado. Definitely just taking into context a bit of Sagrado in Puerto Rico, right? There's been a lot that's been going on with hurricanes Irma and Maria, earthquakes in the southern part in 2020, followed by the pandemic, economic crisis that spanned 2 decades. So sustainability for us goes more than just through the environmental lens. It's access to education. It's being of support to our neighboring communities, not only in case of natural phenomena, but just supporting economic mobility and, like I said, education. So it was nice again to receive everyone. More than just, again, going out, and I know everyone was trying mofongo and trying new dishes and working on the application. Just having everyone see that other side that maybe if one would come as a tourist, one would not see.
Thank you. Anne?
Ah, so as a person who loves, thrives, lives community engaged teaching and learning, this was community engaged teaching and learning on steroids. So from all of the different visits and going to the coffee farm and um, talking to local people and teachers and faculty at universities and the satellite campus that we visited, to, I'm going to tell you, riding on the bus with different people. I sat with different people every time we went to a different place. And so, you have 3 hours or you have 2 hours with someone to hear about them and to hear about their lives and their work and what inspires them. And all of those things are learning that made us reflect on, if we were hosting this in Greensboro, where would I put people on a bus? Where would we be going? Which community partners would I want to take people and introduce them to? How would I engage my students, right? And so it was such a great opportunity because I think and I hope um, that imaginative leap happened for a lot of us of um, what if we were hosting?
Yeah, thank you. So I want to pivot to like where we're at now, and I want to turn it over to Amy to really talk about the investment that University of Colorado has made in this, the resources, tools, support that are available to institutions as we're moving in this first cycle, and how do you envision this role as host contributing to the overall field building and institutional learning across campus, particularly after hearing and engaging with the pilot campuses?
Thank you, Marisol. As we mentioned, CU Boulder is the host institution, and you may be wondering, what does that mean to be the host institution? It means that we're the operational and administrative lead for the Carnegie Elective Classification for Sustainability. So we're stewarding this on behalf of the field. We will lead the review process that you heard about, and we will do our best to cultivate diverse communities of practice to share those learnings and make those connections. Meanwhile, CU Boulder will also be applying for the classification. So we'll have an internal team that's separated from me and my team. There will be a very intentional firewall so that they can go through the process like any other applicant would. And we're really excited about that self-study aspect of the elective classification that this allows, and the stories that we know will be unearthed through going through that process and getting our narrative into one place. I just wanted to quick recap some of the reasons why you might want to participate. So many of the panelists alluded to these, but again, it's this opportunity to do a self-study to help you establish priorities and strengthen that campus community and sustainability identity. The Carnegie name does elevate your institution's visibility in order to recruit students and attract donors, attract faculty, researchers, etc. If you are doing ASHE STARS, this is a great opportunity to leverage that mixed methods approach. The ASHE STARS is more quantitative, and this is really qualitative, and it's about storytelling. So, I think they're very complementary in that way. Again, this is an opportunity to showcase the holistic narrative. So looking at overall, what are those superpowers, as Anne said so well, and the opportunity to engage and benefit from the communities of practice of all of these, other institutions that will apply and participate. If you are interested, here's the timeline. July 17th is the first big milestone. If you do intend to apply, you need to register in the Give Pulse platform and submit your application fee. After that, you won't be able to do it, and it'll be another 3 years before the application opens again. And then December 4th is the application deadline. We will lead the review process in early 2027 and make those decisions in May of next year and do a public announcement of only those schools who receive the classification in June of 2027. So the panelists touched on a lot of these. This is the framework. So the questions fall into this framework. So there's this kind of introductory section around establishing the context and talking about how you work with the community. I put in the chat a link to sign up to download the application and the guidebook. So if you go in, you put your information in, you'll receive an email a little bit later with links to both the application itself and the guidebook. The guidebook has really great examples of that ecosystem model, but it also just has really awesome tips on how to approach each question. There's a section on academics, research and innovation, and workforce development and career preparation. And then the final is really about what's happening on campus in terms of a climate action plan, if you have one, your infrastructure and operations work, and what you're doing in terms of resilience and adaptation planning in your communities. These are some of the resources that we have available. We're still working on more, so there's more to come. Again, there's the application and guidebook that are available. If you sign up for the mailing list, you'll get the emails about webinars and different resources as they're published. The next webinar that we're hosting is next week. It's around setting your campus up for success. And we'll talk about getting that leadership buy-in, building your cross-campus team to do the application, and how to go about gathering evidence. So we'll have other panelists from the pilot schools helping illustrate those things. We have office hours that you can drop into. And I'm really excited about this second to last bullet. We just launched and put a call out for the Sustainability Electives Consultants Program, which is pro bono consulting and a waiver of the application fee. So this is really meant for those schools that are maybe smaller or have less resources. We want to help you build capacity to be able to apply. And we will be also launching communities of practice in May, so look out for that. Here's my contact information, a link. The QR code goes to that link. So again, really appreciate the panelists for highlighting why it's so valuable to engage in the Carnegie Elective for sustainability, and to Marisol for bringing us all together. I think we probably want to leave some time for Q&A.
Yeah, I think we have about 5 minutes. So One question in the chat was like, how long did it take folks to do the application? And then I would just add, if as you're answering that, like any advice that you have for folks. Um, we posted, I think, the link to the guidebook, but I don't know if you also want to post, Amy, the link to the website where folks can sign up. So, how long did it take, and any advice?
On the advice piece, I would say do not procrastinate. Sometimes we get excited and we start and then, oops, forgot about it, or, we're just so busy. And then kind of getting back on it might be more of an effort. Definitely, if you can have someone like the provost, a president, VP be on the team, I think that will definitely facilitate getting information, especially when it's urgent. And something that I did was that I held meetings through Zoom, which I recorded. And then if I needed to go back to just verify information, validate some data, I could do that. And so that would be my piece of advice. In terms of how much time, I don't know. I didn't quantify the hours. Sorry, Marisol. But I would say maybe a good 2, 3 months. Just again, not persistently, but going back and forth. And again, a lot of the time goes in um, getting information from other offices. So look out for that.
Yeah, Lauren, Ann, or Trevor.
I can go next. Uh, I would echo what Lorena shared. Don't procrastinate. We kicked off the pilot in January of 25. Applications were due in September, and the vast majority of the application writing for us happened in July and August, and then we spent really the last 2 weeks just getting all of the approvals necessary to submit. So. Leave yourselves time to go through if you have to go through a particular office to edit things, make sure what you're submitting is up to snuff. These applications are not released publicly, but if you have to go through any sort of internal process, leave yourselves time for that. The process we used was we assembled an advisory team at the very beginning, composed of some senior level folks or close to senior level folks to get at that. If we need somebody to move something, they can get it moved. But also a lot of folks from these different areas that we were trying to focus on with heat, health, water. And we also included students, which was a really valuable demographic for us to include. When it came to how long it took, yeah, we were spending a good chunk of time there near the end. How it compares to Aishi Stars. For us, Aishi Stars was a bigger lift. It is a bigger lift, and it continues to be. I think the scope is similar because this is an institutional application around sustainability, but the depth that you go within that scope is deeper. You learn a lot more, and I think that that is an important differentiator. So you're probably going to spend about as much time in that world, but it's a different type of work, and I think it's a little bit more rewarding.
Thanks. As Lauren and Ann, you're giving, just be mindful of time. Can you also speak to like how you got permissions or how you pitched it to your upper administration?
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing I highly, highly recommend, use things that you already have. So if you did a EPA community change grant, okay, sometimes we get stuck in inertia, right? But like if you have a good paragraph that you've written somewhere else that you can start that process and update, do it. Tell your story, run your race. Don't get stuck in comparison with what you don't do, right? Focus on what you do well and tell that and be excited about that and be proud of that. You don't have to do everything. Let that go.
Mhm.
And then really work on building, be thoughtful in putting your committee together. The best thing I ever did was put our director of the Writing Center And when I put her on our sustainability team, she was like, I mean, I'll do it, but why? When I had 60 whatever pages and I was absolutely sick of looking at it and reading it, to have her come in with that lens to just help me clean up and like, oh, you just need a topic sentence here. And oh, this is really good. But that was like a B12 shot in the arm, right? It was fabulous to have that at the end. So build those little things in you that are going to help support you, not only people who are knowledgeable on campus, but people who have skills. Put them on there too.
Lauren, close us out.
Yes, I echo all of that, putting your team together, knowing who your experts are, and they come sometimes in the least unexpected places. So bringing them together, working as a team.
Great. So we're a little bit out of time, but I know there's a follow-up webinar coming May 6th, so make sure to sign up for that. I want to thank you so much. We will take the questions that are here and ask our panelists to answer those and send them out in the follow-up along with the slides and the recording. But thank you all so much for sharing your experience with the pilot. Thank you, Boulder, for being such a wonderful leader and host in this space and really taking care of the elective in a way that honors the process that's been started. And thank you so much to the participants for your interest in this new Carnegie Elective Classification for Sustainability. Good afternoon, folks. Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.